Make sure. Here we are. So don't spill your secrets because it'll be recorded. I have a terrible sense of humor. Just hang in there with me, y'all. That's why I work well with youth because the cornier you are, the more fun you are to kids. Go ahead,
That's the
Melissa.
truth.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Uh, okay, great. Yeah, well, let's just do some introductions. So I'll start and then Coach D, and then we'd
Yeah.
like to get to know you. So I'm Dr. Melissa Sadler Neetu, and I have been in the workforce world, gosh, okay, probably about 30 plus years
Oh,
in various and from youth career and technology workforce to the community college workforce. And then actually I did the operations for 16 centers in 13 counties. And then after COVID, I got so enamored with the technology. I really always had been enamored with the technology side of things that I moved over to building a technology and been working with that from hidden talent ever since. So I understand our world. I still work in our world, just on the technology and building side of things. And now I'll pass it over to Coach D.
well, it truly is an honor again to meet you all. I'm Darrell Andrews. They know me as Coach D. I've been in the workforce development space since the days of JTPA. So if you know what that means, you've been around for a while.
Yes,
The Job
definitely.
Training Partnership Act. Um, I, I got involved with workforce development primarily due to workforce development's impact on me. My mother was impacted by a program in Syracuse, New York, in the late 70s when I was a little child, and it so transformed my life that we came out of poverty, bought home, everything shifted, and I became a first generation college graduate. So I attribute a lot of that to workforce development because it opened up her eyes, which hence opened up mine. But from that, I had a corporate stint for a while, and then I started my own workforce development program under JTPA, which flowed into WIA, and we ran a youth program by the name of Hype, helping youth pursue excellence, and then we had an adult program by the name of Basic, building and sustaining internal change. Hype was a youth summer work programs, year-round program, and with an emphasis on graduation. That was the big push, and during those times, and when I started the program, I said to my staff and I said to the state and everybody else involved, we're going to be a little unorthodox. We're not. In order to engage these young people, we have got to try some creative, insights, tools, whatever. We did a couple of times we got close to get slapped on the hand, but as a result, we had a 90% graduation rate with over 400 kids that we served in our first cycle, and about a 85% graduate with about 500 kids we served in the second cycle. And it was so successful that the U.S. Department of Labor sent out a representative to see if it was legitimate. So they spent 2 weeks with us, scoured over our books, looked at everything, sat in all our meetings, and when they walked away, they deemed Hype a national best practice. And so we're very proud of that work. And then the basic was adult was job readiness and training, and with job placement. And with that, our claim to fame was a 75% placement and retention rate for 2 years. So we took our work seriously. We had a lot of success in running programs, and from that, I started getting invited out to speak, train, and consult all over the country. I've been a 19-year speaker at NAUDIP. I've been a featured keynote speaker 5 times. I've been a featured speaker every year. Most states, even your state, Texas Workforce Commissions. I'm good friends with Aaron Dimerson, who's now over economic development, but he was with Workforce. And we've presented multiple times at the Texas Workforce Commissions Conference. And we're all about workforce development innovation, to improve the outcomes, based upon the clients, but also the staff that works within the center. So trained and coached and worked all over the United States. And that's kind of who I am. And that was sort of long, but I thought I'd give you at least now you know who I am. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone else want to share?
Well, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Melanie Williams. I'm the executive director here in South Phoenix. Been executive director a couple of years now. Prior to that, was finance director And I've actually been with the company with workforce for staff for almost 30 years now. And so in different capacities.
Hmm.
Um, and so, in looking at um, all of the things we've done for the youth and as our budgets, I'm pretty sure y'all are aware how we're structured. Like we're 28 boards in Texas.
Yep.
Okay. So when you said
Yeah.
Jefferson, I was like, okay, you guys know. So you actually met our chair, Roxanne Acosta Helberg.
Yes,
Yep.
Okay.
correct.
Well, she's our board chair. We're board staff.
Hmm.
Um, and so Mark, you can go ahead. Because I want to just kind of give you guys a background, like,
Hmm.
we have a contractor, our contractor that oversees our, workforce centers, uh,
Yeah.
who directly handle, the participants,
Hmm.
and employers. That's Southwest Key. They're going to be in their second year of their contract.
Hmm.
We have to procure every 4 years. And so well, I keep getting them mixed up with child care now, Mark. 4 to 5 years, we have to re-procure. And so,
Hmm.
for the workforce center contract.
Yeah.
And, they utilize a budget that we give them that's on my desk now to be approved for 27. And so they have a budget that they utilize, and that's based on contracts that we receive from TWC.
Hmm.
And so, I don't know if you're aware, we're going through a point of time to where there's been some budget constraints, and that comes from DOL,
Yep.
and that's
Mhm.
passed down to TWC, and then that's passed down to
We're
us.
very familiar with
Yeah.
it.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
over the last um, 2 budget years, and that's counting 27 because that's the one I'm about to embark on. It's been about $1 million.
Hmm.
Am I exaggerating too much, Mark?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we've had budget cuts. So one of the hits has been our youth program. So
Hmm.
when we see that, this would involve the youth, you have to be innovative when you start losing funding. You start having to figure out how to do it. But I'm going to start talking and let Mark introduce himself.
I
Like,
just, if I can say something real quick, is that
yeah,
the same Southwest Keys that did work over in the Harlingen area? I think they had a contract over in Harlingen, I believe. Southwest Keys. Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
the reason why I say that, probably there was a lady named BJ Williams, and for about 7, 8 years, she had me come over there and speak to those kids over in with the Southwest Keys program. So that's why I was familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and their staff went through um, a restructuring, I may
Hmm.
say.
Yeah.
So there's some people that have been switched around. I
Yeah.
want to say Joella Brooks was there
Hmm.
probably when you went there,
Okay.
and she worked with the youth. I think
Yep.
that was her forte was the youth.
Yep.
And
Yep.
she's still part of the program, but a lot
Yeah.
of other people are not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they did
That's
some really hard restructuring last September.
yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'm
And
familiar
so,
with that. And
yeah,
just to let you know too, I work with probably about 15 of the boards that you're talking about. So I'm very familiar. Over in South Plains, I've been going back and forth there for about 18 years.
okay,
So Ben Alexander's now their person overseeing that their board. Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Uh,
Listen, Deputy Director.
Mr. Andrew, you said you work with 18 boards, for those in the
About
state of
15
Texas?
of them. I've
15.
been in, yeah, to some capacity. Yep. Hmm.
I'm Mark Duran. I'm the deputy director here at Workforce Solutions Southeast Texas. I've been here for almost 2 years, worked at a prior board in Texas for about 7 years. Prior to that, Andrew, you mentioned JCPA. I did work back in those days for about 13 years. Left work for about 16. Worked in healthcare administration. Came back to workforce.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, Melanie, thank you for all the background. I don't know how much information you received already uh, from your chair, your board chair, but we did meet with Roxanne and I'm not sure how we should address her, but we did meet with her at Knob, and so the approach here and her ask was a little different, and what um she brought to us was basically like, I see, I've got a PowerPoint that I can run through that might help kind of put it together. But basically, well, yes, we're with an organization and we're with organizations. Um, and I gave you the website to look at, but it's not really about the website or what I gave you. I mean, you can look at that and that's great. And that's, but this is more customized to your area. She asked me to bring forward a solution. And so I found Coach D and some other folks to put together a solution for your area. And this is what we're presenting today. And the problem that she presented before I go into that is that she said, in your area in the region, and I've done a lot of work with Lamar Institute of Technology and Lamar Orange and some folks there. And she said the problem in the area is that she goes and she does her block walking and she goes to these apartments and she sees um, youth that are so smart and so able, but they're out there and they're not doing anything. And like, okay, yeah, that's
Mm.
we've got that problem and we've got that problem everywhere in Texas. But she said, but we've got all this oil money and foundation money, and I just think that we could do something innovative and different that would really inspire the youth. Could you bring me that solution?
Mm.
I said, well, yeah, Coach D and I have been working on that problem our entire career
Yeah.
and coming out with really great outcomes. So it's more about putting together a concept that we know will work and then looking at how do we go about funding. So I hear you on the funding cuts. And I know everybody's going through that. Um,
All over the country. So you're not alone.
yeah.
Oh,
This is,
no, yeah,
I
you're
was
the
just with a
same.
group in Pennsylvania. They just got cut by about 2 million. So I just, yeah.
Yeah,
And And the only time I would say Texas is lucky not to have a state income tax supplement would be that I think some of our cuts are a little less painful than some of the states that have a big match for their some of, we have mainly federal, and some of the other states have a really big state match that they put into the workforce system. So their cuts have been really big, bigger than ours. Ours are painful, but I think there's been some other painful ones too that we can be happy about. But anyway, that's not really what this is about. So I think it might make sense if I just put together just a couple slides to kind of bring together some of the concepts. And I think before we talk about like money and how it's funded and everything, I'd really rather get your take on, would this work? Would this be a good plan for your area that we've been putting together? So I'll go ahead and get that on the screen.
I made you a co-host, so you're good.
Okay. It looks a little, oh, there it is.
Hmm.
Okay, can everybody see
Yep.
the Ignite
Hmm.
Southeast Texas? Okay.
mhm,
So we kind of gave it a name just to give it a starting point. And the name would be Ignite Southeast Texas. Um, and it's about being job ready, about being AI ready, and about being work ready. We know that all these things are important to our youth. And the whole idea in 9 words is this is the whole idea in about 9 words. So let me show you how it works. Okay, statewide, almost 500,000 Texas youth have been between 16 and 24 are not in school and not working, and this is not new information for you. And I didn't drill down to the specific number today. I have been doing some of the data pull in your area, and we know that the Southeast Workforce Board region area is a little bit harder hit than all of Texas in this statistic. But they're not working, and it's a big problem. Getting our youth to work, how is that going to happen? And it seems to be even more of a challenge this year. I don't know how you feel about it. So every one of the young people, technician is a future operator, future leader, future potential person that could be doing something great for the economy. Uh, but if we don't get them the training, we don't get them the connection, that may not happen. Okay. We also know that there's $54 billion in new industrial investment in the region. So it's kind of a paradox that the area has such high unemployment in some respects, and then such great investment and such great industry in other respects. So putting that together, I think this is also Roxanne's comment is like, how can we really put this all together? How could we use the resources of the community to make something really special? We've got ExxonMobil, Motiva, Valero, they're all expanding. These are all, pillars of this organization, and they have foundations that are interested in workforce and funding youth workforce activities. And I don't know if you've tapped into that much or if you've spent much time. I'd like to get your feedback on the connections you've made already with them. So this is, with those things in mind, this is what we're thinking. We're thinking of a program that is about 1 to 3 weeks. And it's a job readiness plus AI readiness. And I keep throwing in the AI because I've been really working on that with not just youth, but with adults. I think this is going to be our new soft skills thing, our new, everybody is starting to add AI skills into their job descriptions. And how are we preparing everybody for that? So it's going to be one of those skills that we've got to have going forward. So we want to put soft skills, the job readiness, the AI, everything, but not just your typical boot camp. We want it to be a truly memorable, life-changing type of boot camp. And so they get to explore their careers. They do this not just by taking your typical, assessments and things. They do some of that, but they also get out there and they visit employer sites. They visit with the elected officials. They see their city in a different way that helps them buy into the fact that they're a part of this city and that it's their responsibility to be a productive member of this community. And then we launch from there into internship style placement, work experience, paid work if we can get that. But we really prepare this launch or into training and or both. So,
Yep.
and Coach, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I do. If you can give me just 1 second, I just do want to say something. Looking at that, if you go back to that last slide, when I think of Texas, the thing that excites me about your state more than anything, because I've been in all the states multiple times, is there was some time. Do y'all remember the Careers in Texas initiative when they would have the school events and they would bring employers to the schools? And I don't know if y'all remember those. They were pretty prolific about 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I remember telling workforce that, I think you guys have started something, but you need to finish it. And what they were doing is we were doing these big career rallies, Melissa, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you, in the schools. I must have visited throughout the state probably about 40 schools in different workforce or in different workforce boards. And it was amazing. The kids were excited. They were motivated. It was in the school, so we had a contained, situation there. And then they would go over and meet with the employers, and we were looking at manufacturing as well as STEM. That was kind of our focus. So I would get them motivated about that, which that's easy for me. It doesn't take, I know how to engage these young folks. So we get them motivated, and then and then they would go over and meet with the with the employer. So I know it would be different to try to do something like that with the out of school youth, but I think it still can be created. You know what I mean? Something of that nature, because part of it is to get the entire community involved in this process, and I think that's what Melissa's outlining in this proposal right here. And but part of it is you got to get the kids motivated. They need to be motivated to want to do this. And so, if I can just add one little bit, we talked about it briefly, that I would like to add to this equation is every successful youth initiative we've ever done from our HYPE program beyond, we created a youth advisory council where we would have take youth, a cross section of youth and a cross section of community people. It would be the youth, it would be employers, it would be schools, colleges, communities, and we would sit there, and because this is your area, like we don't live there. This is yours. And so what we want to build is that kind of advisory to be able to take these ideas that we're sharing, and they would own this. You know what I mean? Long before after we're not there anymore. And so I just want to mention that, Melissa, because I shared this with the folks when they're doing the careers in Texas. They just didn't buy into it. But I said you gotta have something, a system beyond just getting these kids excited and meeting employers. You need to have something that. So anyway, that's what we did with our HYPE program. Literally in Delaware and Pennsylvania, we had employers, community leaders. We had too many, to be honest with you. We had so many of them that were involved because we opened up the door for them to be involved, to own this. So that's all I want to say. I want to add that part, but also your state and your region, you guys are 10 steps ahead of the game in the fact that you have like these careers in Texas. And I think last year it was, jobs y'all or something like that. They had, just different things that you do that lead these young people towards employment. So there's the foundation for it's there. I think we just with this can help to build on it, if that makes sense. I hope I didn't lose you with what I'm talking about.
No, I think that makes perfect
Hmm.
sense.
Yep.
Um, and I think that kind of leads into why does this work when other programs have not? And there's really four reasons. And that's what we want to bring across because I'm sure you've seen, plenty of youth program presentations and youth offers, but this one is put together that it's facilitator led and technology powered, and the facilitator is strong. And it doesn't have to be a subject matter expert for everything that each different person wants to do. I mean, you just need a strong facilitator that cares about students and cares about empowering and cares about making a difference. And the technology can teach the
Hmm.
technical skills.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that makes this different. And then the civic engagement, which Coach D already touched on, but it's not from day one. It's bringing in the community and bringing the students out into the community. So it makes such a difference when you get dressed up to go visit the city officials or
Hmm.
the county officials or and present what you're going to do, and that puts it out into the universe, and then it makes it a part of who you are. So that is a really powerful thing for young people to do. So
It
it's
is.
not about just visiting the employers and seeing what the work site is like. It's about showing up as a leader in the community and knowing that you have a place or that youth have a place in that community, and they have an expectation to be a part of the community and lead it in the future.
Melissa,
And
if I can say this too, and we
yes,
would
please.
train them on that. We literally would train them to be able to communicate what they're doing. Like for instance, in the city of Wilmington in Delaware, we had a youth advisory council, and we trained four of those kids to present at council meetings, and things like that. Matter of fact, they even got a chance to communicate with the governor and the governor's council, and they were just sharing. So it the idea of funding was never really a problem because they were seeing these kids and saying, wow, this is a unique set of young people. And so when it came time for dollars beyond JTPA and WIA, we never had a problem with that because our kids were kind of leading the way. We were there to support, but leading the way, and employers loved it as well as the officials. That was impressive to them. So anyway, that kind of just want to
Yeah.
align that kind of aligned it a little bit more to what you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just, exactly what this slide is about. I mean, everybody is gaining from this experience really. It also puts workforce in the spotlight as well.
Yeah.
So, sometimes workforce has a hard time getting visible in the community. So it also puts a workforce out there. And then just go back to here, the technology piece is the other part. Not just having access to technology, but putting technology in the hands of the youth as an incentive, either partially through or when they complete the program.
Hmm.
So, and letting them keep it because, technology is one of those things that it's becoming a necessity. And if you have a household that doesn't have that, it can put you behind
Yep.
significantly. So, learning how to use it responsibly and then making it part of the incentive. And then digital badges that help mark progress. So gamifying this and making sure that the end of the 3 weeks that you're stacking up those badges and you're stacking them with competencies that youth have earned and that they can now add to their resumes and start building them from day one and seeing how quickly they can add those things up. Um, So the delivery and the scale, our thought on this too, is that, in the beginning, very hands-on, helping launch this, and then we move into that's like sort of cohort one or group one. So we're running it, we're getting it, we're showing you what it's like. Then we move into a train the trainer mode, and so your staff can start running this. And then by the time we get to cohort two or maybe year two, just this is all just kind of hypothetical at this point, but as the program begins to repeat itself, then it becomes less expensive and more sustainable. Um, and then funding it. So want to come back to what Roxanne had originally mentioned to me that there is yes, there's some funding that is in the workforce board, and she acknowledged that, but she said, but there's so much more. We can get so much more. We bring that advisory committee together. We develop a coalition of these foundations. I think the foundations for some of the oil and gas, and there's probably some others as well, want to have a program, want to be involved in a program like this, and want to support the community. So getting them involved in a tangible thing that they can be a part of it in an advisory capacity, but also their money is going towards helping build the youth for that. And so that's pretty much it. That was the concept that I just wanted to have the conversation around and just kind of give like this is what we put together. This is what we want to bring to you. And then we want to get your feedback so that and maybe answer questions, talk about like where are you with this? Where has anybody else been with this? What are your thoughts on everything?
Mark, I know you're ready to speak. Go ahead.
No, man, I was gonna let you, lead us tonight,
Yeah, I agree that there's definitely that need Um, and then, when she's speaking, you know, she's looking at the funding that are available at these entities that you mentioned, the Valeros, the Exxons and things like that. And so those people, yes, they would have to be on board. Um, so some of the things that you're speaking of is probably from what our workforce contractor does, but to a different power. Um, but like nothing to this, this here. But I mean,
Yeah.
like we do have the pay work experience. We try to get that connection there. But but when you're saying tapping into this at of this nature, that would definitely be you would have to bring in the Exxons, the Valeros, and we have several more, but I know that's the more prominent ones in the area, and they're expanding, you know. So go ahead, Mark, if you had a comment also.
Well, I think, like you said, Mel, it's really kind of it's kind of grasping because really going into the meeting, is didn't really know what y'all were going to present. So just kind of Mel and I talking about it a little bit more. Some of it reminds me, or it makes me think, is that it would really be at the contractor level of utilization of their funding that they get from us because of the internship, the work experience. In there. And also is, Southeast, in my opinion, I've been here 2 years, is that's just really great things that we do that are, can probably always be built upon and things, but, we participate with the Exxons, like in their 409 Scholar, where they talk about this STEM program and their internships. And so we've got really good relationships with them there. The other thing, just looking at job ready, we don't really do a lot of AI, so that's something we can always improve. We can improve on everything with AI, but the job readiness, I know our contractor does job readiness workshops. Because our employees have really talked about employability skills.
Yeah.
And from that side, I think the some good concept, I think, is just something we need to kind of talk internally about and kind of grasp it now that we know more information.
Yeah. If I can add a thought to this, I've been in so many I've been in over 2,000 workforce development sites in my career. And the thing about it is, and I'm not, Melissa, I wasn't a part of that original conversation, but it's obviously she saw something where there was a need, I would believe, in this space, hence why we're here in this conversation. But one thing I believe is that, like, every workforce program is putting their best foot forward. And even with my own program, I always brought in additional resources to help move the needle a little bit further. You know what I mean? So I feel like, what we bring to the table, and I've been a contractor, maybe we're there as a strong support for what they're doing something creative. Again, keeping in mind what Melissa said, this is all concept at this point. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be fully like this. It's just concept. But
Yeah.
not to sound arrogant or holier than thou, but we have a unique way of engaging young people that has not been matched in this country. I've been in places. That's why I think Texas Workforce Commission, all those places had us going to all these schools because they know how we were able to pull those young people in and get them to own. And which they, like we ran our programs, I told my team, I want these young folks to own this. This is this is their program, this is their future, and whatever it takes, we got to get them to own it. And like a lot of my work I do, Mr. Duran, throughout those boards are with staff. So it's to really engaging that staff to empower them to do a better job of making connection, not just with the youth, but the adults. Because it's all about the systems that you put in place to create the culture that when people walk through your doors, they feel empowered. So I just want to say that I think, for what we're offering here, it could be customized. I don't think this has to be the final, thing we're talking about, but we could be a great support to the Southwest Keys and what they're doing. Hence, I believe why Southwest Keys used to bring us in so much when we over in Harlingen, because we were helping them over there, with their work in that space and in other spaces as well. So I think the thing is, if I can just, I'll be quiet after this piece, but we can be creative in how we do this. Melissa, would you not agree? I mean, this and how we can be a
Yeah.
yeah,
And I also want to say it's not to replace what
no,
Southwest Keys is already doing.
no, not at all.
This would be sort of like another layer. You're taking you're creating an additional program for youth to go into so that their programs still exist, but they would also still have to do, yes, they would have to do the work experience. They would have to do the eligibility. They would have to do the work that they already do. But this is like this layered program on top for, groups of students that or participants that are going to go through this. And maybe there's some additional eligibility. Maybe they have to sign a commitment to get into this program because it's going to be a program that they want to get into.
Yeah,
This is going to be an exciting program. They're going to want in this, not oh, I have to do this to be able to, do
yeah,
my eligibility. And like one of the things that we can bring, for example, that technology can bring is an assessment that assesses what they can do now and how they connect to the jobs that are available now. So I know we've got interest assessments and they, I always get bus driver. I mean, they're just not, they're not, when I take the interest assessment, I always get assigned bus driver as my best job, right? So they're a little outdated. They're not, so when we get a really good assessment that is using, and it doesn't have to be using AI that goes into the black hole to train things, but it can be using generative AI that makes things faster, 45 minutes instead of 3 hours, and it gives us output about the person and how they connect to the jobs and what competencies they already have. That's much more compelling because I get a lot of information about myself that I didn't know. And that's a technology piece that can now connect to what exact training do I need, or how does this apply to the job descriptions, or what did I leave out of my job descriptions? These are some of the technical pieces that make it very different and it just elevates things. But put that together with a strong facilitator that talks to people about this, and then to to Coach D's point, when we do this in partnership with the practitioners on the ground, they're learning from it too. They're seeing, okay, the day to day, the grind can be a lot sometimes for the employees. But when they see that magic that can happen between the youth and the facilitator and the activities, then it helps motivate everybody.
if I could say
Yeah.
just one last thing too, when we're there, if we get pulled in to work with you all, I want to empower those contractors. I want to empower those people that's boots on the ground. When I did the keynote for NAUDIP, I did the keynote right before the pandemic hit. And I said, 2,000 people, that the most people in workforce development are the people that's in the trenches. There's people that's out there every single day grinding it out. And so we need to find ways to empower them to be able to do this work. So, Ms. Williams and Mr. Duran, that's something we could additionally add to this equation. I can share some experiences, some insights, and some motivational tools for those people who are with Southwest Keys to be able to do their jobs more effectively. And so I digress, but just want to share that.
Yes, 'cause this is who we would have to bring it to, our contractor, because the board doesn't provide services,
Mm-hmm.
but we do, there's a lot of collaborations that we do. Like when you brought up Jobs Y'all, we have a program that we utilize those monies for, and then that's
Mm-hmm.
our Youth Expo.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and we have one of the biggest youth expos, in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's part of what we provide at the board level, but it's in collaboration
Mm-hmm.
in all phases with our contractor.
Yep.
And since we don't provide those services, this is something we always have to bring back to the contractor,
Yep.
Yeah.
um, and how their strategy for this particular year, because they have one, each year and it kind of goes over.
Yep.
Um, but like I say, this is something that we could bring to them. I brought up Joella Brooks because I'm almost sure she's in a different capacity now, but
Mm-hmm.
her baby, so say, was, the youth programs.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, Mark, I think that's what she's always told us, but we have her in a different capacities just because of their restructuring.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and,
Hmm.
Roxanne, she's county clerk, Jefferson County clerk.
Mm.
So she sees a lot of these things in a different way. And like I said, she's our board chair. So when she brings things to us, um, you know, that's always a tool that we can use when somebody brings things to us. Anybody on our board does that.
Yeah.
We have different entities, private sectors. So I say all
Mm.
that to say, we would like to tap into um how this can work with our contractor, because a
Yeah.
lot of things you said,
Mm.
it sounds enhanced. We do have the assessment for our youth. We do try to, point them in, the directions that they're wanting to move into,
Hmm.
with our training, with our paid work experience, any of the coaching that we do. So a lot of things that you've said,
Hmm.
would coordinate or enhance what
Yep.
we do now.
You
Okay.
know, I'm smiling because I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
when I do work for Workforce Solutions South Plains, I've never gotten a check from Workforce Solutions South Plains. I got it from the Southwest Community Organization that they're contracted with.
Yeah.
We're contracted in Dallas right now to do this dislocated worker and training and work with the contractors, but that's through C2 or what's that? Was it the C?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a C2 mark and C2. I don't keep up with everybody's contractors.
Yeah, I think it's so. What I'm trying to
You
say
have
to
to
you,
procure.
I
Yeah, you have to
get it.
procure
Like
it
when we
for
did the
years.
borderplex, we never the board. I don't think I've ever gotten a check from the board.
We
It's
don't
from the.
provide services.
It
We
was the
don't provide
contractor.
services.
So I,
But
I get what you're talking about. I get
we
exactly what
do
you're
bring
talking.
in collaborations. We do
Yeah.
highly suggest because we're ultimately responsible for the performance of this
Yeah.
area.
Yep.
And I say we, like my name is on it right now. And so, we bring it in however, which means we need to bring it in.
Yep.
So yes, this is great information.
Mm-hmm.
And it speaks volumes to know that you work with other, entities in the state of Texas or the board
Yes.
areas,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
that
Yes.
makes it easy when
Yep.
we're trying to speak to our contractor.
Yeah, and we
And
would love to have a meeting with them. If they just would like to sit down and ask us questions, and you'll have a copy of this video, but if they want to, and we would love to have that meeting
yeah,
too.
we definitely would suggest that them to look at this further.
Yes, yes,
We actually gonna be meeting with them at 2 o'clock, Mark.
yeah, okay,
Uh, so
yeah,
yeah,
okay. I
And
want to see if I can pull something up, but
oh,
continue on. I'm sorry.
well,
Yeah,
I'm kind of also thinking about like, yeah, if we sort of this might be a way to if talk to them, let them see this, let them talk to us, then begin to shape it a little bit more.
yeah,
What they already have in their strategy, what they don't. We said a couple things about I can already get on the path of looking at some of the foundations, and I have a grant writing company that I own on the side. So that is a thing that we already do.
that's good
So that's
information.
okay.
yep.
I'll send that to you at a separate email from a separate email. But
If you can come on, Melissa, could you come out of the slide? I want to show there on your thing. Could you shut it and go to the back out there? I want to show you something, just to let you know. This is these the people you'll be talking about to tomorrow. This is them, okay? Because this is just to show you what I'm talking about. Can you see that picture?
not yet. And there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's them over in Harlingen. Working with the student. I'm in the student. Look at all the students. I mean, just literally, I think they had about 1,000 students in there, and this was their
Okay,
manufacturing foreman. And this again, so just let you know, these are the kind of things that have taken place. That have taken place. So this is through the group that you're talking about. Over there in Harlingen. And
okay,
so just again, just to put it all in perspective, there's a lot of history here. And my thing is just always, hey, let's finish this thing. Like a lot of times we do these great jobs and then we drop them. Let's put a sustainable system together that's reproducible and produces long-term outcomes. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just want to show you that and say this is the kind of stuff, we're not foreign to all of this.
We appreciate that. We
Yeah,
appreciate that. And
yeah.
like I said, we'll be speaking with Joella. I think we
Hmm.
can tag that on to what we need to speak to them about.
Yeah,
Actually, we'll be speaking about performance. So,
yeah.
it kind of runs right into that. So,
Whew, those meetings used to make me nervous, man. But thank goodness my numbers were pretty good. So I still would get nervous. We're at 90%. Why am I sweating?
Because you're not at 100.
that's what we do. We
I
didn't
told my
sweat.
staff, get ready, y'all. I'll make sure you get this ready. We got to do this right. So, but no, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but
So,
I appreciate you guys bringing this to us. We were very curious of what it
yeah.
was because Roxanne gave us limited information. I mean, not that she limited it, she just like a
Yeah,
one liner, hey, I met such and such, and
yeah,
what do you think? That was it.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
okay, we gotta figure this out for ourselves. Thank you. But no,
Yeah,
but it's I'm glad she brought it to us, and I'm glad we were able to meet, you both.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
Mark,
I'm
you have
excited.
any?
So,
I'm excited about what you all. Texas. I just, I've always had a special place in my heart because we've done so much work there and been to so many locations, and we've seen
and
youth and we've
actually,
seen
I've done
great
a
stuff.
lot in Beaumont
Yeah,
area
yeah.
and
Okay.
like to
Yep.
get
You're right.
back
You
there
mentioned
because
that. Yeah. Yeah.
you'll
Yep.
have a lot of great restaurants.
Yeah. But you
You
know
really
what?
do.
I'll say one last thing because you can tell I speak for a living. I have a lot to say, but and I know you got to go. But my hometown of Syracuse, New York, just got a company called Micron that moved in. It's $100 billion project, and like we're talking right now, the community, the workforce, they've been working with those folks. I mean, they've only been at it 2 years, and they've already released, I think, somewhere like 500 million into the community. And I think that when it's presented in a certain way, people see the benefit, the human capital piece. Texas, you guys are big on retaining your people, which I think is huge, and I think that's a big strong part of your economy. So connecting some of this to those refineries and saying, hey, this is human capital stuff. Let's get these young folks ready for careers, even maybe working with you. And I think that attracts them a lot more. I see how it worked in Syracuse in a very short period of time. And I think that model can work anywhere.
Would it be possible for you to either send me or connect me to the person that would have a list of your key employers that you're working with? If I could find that, or if I could have that, then I can find their foundations and find out what their key interests are in giving, and that could help further the conversation on a collaboration.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
Okay, I'll just request that in an email if that makes sense, and then I'll also send in a separate email our services for grant writing if that's of interest.
okay, okay. I
Thank you all
appreciate
so
that.
much. I appreciate your time and patience listening to me. My mom told me a long time ago, she said, one day you're going to use that mouth to make a difference.
Yes,
So I think we
as,
are.
as you have.
Yeah, we
All right.
appreciate you guys bringing this to us. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, we'll get this
Thank you
video off
both.
immediately. I'll upload and send it to you. So
Okay, thank you so much. I
thank
appreciate
y'all.
it.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye
Have
Thank
bye.
a
you.
rest of your
Thank you.
day.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
All right, you too. All
Bye
right,
bye.
thank you. Bye-bye.